there. My name is Apple Bass, and I work with West Florida Invest in the new construction division. And before we get started today on the webinar, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on myself, just very, very brief. I have lived around the country and worked around the country. I have traveled and worked around the world and came back to Florida and settled about 30 years ago. I'm a third generation Floridian. And to come back to Florida, be with my family and friends was really important to me at that point in my life. And I've loved that I made that decision at the time. Therefore, I'm able to look at Florida with perspective that many people wouldn't have that have never left Florida. So I do have a perspective of Florida based on a worldview, and would like to share that with you when we have our chat about you purchasing your next home in Florida. And here's Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Lolleman, and I too am a Florida native. Apple and I met in the telecommunications industry about 20 years ago. We were both product managers. I was handling Europe and she was handling Brazil. And I ended up living in DC and she ended up living in, she said, California. But we both came back because we do have family all around the state. So we know all the parts of the state. We know why we live in the best area and why we're selling it.
Right. So today we're going to handle the webinar in a question and answer format. We, Carol and I, work with our clients every day of the week except Saturday and Sunday on the phone, and we get asked the same questions kind of time over time. So we'd like to answer some of those questions for you today in the webinar, something that you can review, and when you're ready to talk to us, we can go over it again or we can answer some new questions for you.
Great. Okay, Apple. Number one question. Everyone's interested in the numbers. So can you tell us what the market numbers are saying about availability, time on market, and appreciation, both historically and now?
I can. I'm going to get this slide up. There we go. The slide that you see here is from our multiple listing system. It's the service that's shared by all realtors in Florida, and this system that we belong to goes from Orlando to Tampa, across the state to the West Coast, and down the coast to Fort Myers area. So it's the whole southwest, central and southwest portion of Florida that these numbers represent. I wanted to point something out to you here. Active listings, this is year over year. Our listings are down 58% from this time last year. So in February, we had 19,057 homes active in the multiple listing system for buyers to review and go see. We're 58% down from last year, which was 45,323. That's pretty incredible. Listings sold. In February of 21, 14,567 properties were sold. That's up 13% from 12,837 sold a year ago. So we sold 13% more homes year over year, and yet we're down almost 60% of active listings. The balance of those homes that are being purchased are primarily new construction. And that's one of the things we're here to talk to you about today. And lastly, I'd like to show you the months of inventory, just to let you know how dynamic this market is right now. February that we just left, there's 1 month of inventory on the market, which is an extreme seller's market. There is so much demand for homes in Florida right now that we've been driven from a balanced market of about 5 or 6 months, which is most statisticians will tell you that 5 or 6 months of inventory is balance between buyer and seller. We're down to 1 month. So the demand is very high and the supply is very low. Yep. So I have a question for you, I think.
Okay.
Carolyn, let me see what this is. The famous U-Haul report. The U-Haul put out a report this year, and it named Northport as the #1 destinations for one-way moves in North America. What is that all about?
Anyone who's spoken to me on the phone knows that I love this topic. And I start at the high level and then I drill down a little bit. So I talk about Florida as a whole. Everyone in the country knows that Florida is a big destination. And as we said, we both have family all around the state. And there are great things about every area that's for sale. Jacksonville has a Major League football team. The Good Place is a TV show that immortalized that football team. But that's, to me, kind of, no. So that's great. Jacksonville's great. But when you go to the Space Coast, and Apple and I both, she grew up in Melbourne. My mom lived over there. I've still got family over there. It's great, but it's very technology focused. Orlando is very tourism dependent. The west coast of Florida, 100 years ago, the railroad barons put railroad tracks, and where did they come? To Tampa and Sarasota. And why? Because we have beaches that are #1 in the world every year. So we've had, and lakes and rivers and beautiful crystal clear water and everything. But 100 years ago of growth, we've been able to develop companies such as Raymond James and Associates, who are on the Fortune 500, Jabal Circuit, who was just sold, and Tech Data are all in this area. And even Apple and I have been talking, Moffitt Cancer Center is building the largest medical center, cancer center in the country. So we've had all of this tremendous growth. So we have a very broad-based economy. On top of that, we're the only area in Florida that has a National Football League team, a national hockey team, and a national baseball team. And interestingly enough, all three of them went to their respective Super Bowl, World Series, and Stanley Cup this year, and 2 of them won. Of course, it was COVID time, and we didn't get to see them in person, but we're still happy that they won. But that speaks to our economy. Additionally, when we talk about Northport and all of those areas, we have Tampa International Airport, Clearwater International Airport, Sarasota International Airport, and Fort Myers International Airport. So I want to talk a little bit more about Northport and Cape Coral. So our CLO does a study every year of the best-selling master plan communities. And Welland Park, which is part of it is in Northport, part of it is in Englewood, was the #3 best-selling community. So those developers spend many years identifying an area. So we are benefiting from the overflow of all of that development. And they've got access to 75 and to Sarasota. Another thing Apple and I talk about is if people say, well, what if they work in downtown Tampa? We say, if they want to work in downtown Tampa, they're going to go an hour north to get new home construction, which is much more expensive, or then go an hour south to Northport and get new construction at a lower price. Cape Coral, one of the appeals, and Port Charlotte's right there underneath it. In fact, Northport was carved out of Port Charlotte originally. Cape Coral has access to Big Pine Island, incredibly beautiful beaches, and Fort Myers. So both areas have large city access and I-75 access and the benefit of master plan communities. In fact, closer to Cape Coral is Babcock Ranch. And that is the #39 best-selling community, and it's very new. But what's really interesting is the first entirely solar-powered city in the United States. One other thing that we weren't planning on talking about, but maybe we want to, is how Northport and Cape Coral were carved out and why we have these large vacant lots. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Okay.
I've thrown that out at her. It wasn't planned.
We have a wonderful resource right now in Northport, Cape Coral, and Port Charlotte, in that those cities were developed between the 50s and the 70s by General Development Corporation. They bought massive quantities of land in Florida. Those were 3 areas that they developed. They also developed Port St. Lucie, Port St. John, Port Malabar. They developed Key Biscayne and Marco Island. And that means that they put the roads in, they subdivided the lots and brought electricity in. to acres and acres of property and sold houses very successfully through the 80s. At some point, they disbanded and the lots went to the municipalities. Individuals purchased them. So we have a situation where it's scattered lots, but it's not scattered lots in an old downtown city area or in a congested suburban area. These are scattered lots in areas that have not been developed before. So your neighbors are typically going to have homes built in the 2000s as you have your home built on that street. There are no development fees that are passed on to buyers. In Florida right now, if you wanted to buy a new home in Florida, you would be paying development fees of between $2,000 and $3,000 a year in your taxes.
Right.
That put the roads and electricity and everything in. And you'd also be paying a homeowner association fee. So new homes in Florida in master plan developments typically do not cash flow and are not investor friendly. And yet here we have brand new homes being built on beautiful wooded lots or on sunny palm tree shaded lots in Cape Coral that the homes surrounding it are new, the infrastructure is new, and the cities are really coming out of the ground now in a very rapid way.
Yeah, it's very unique to have all of these individual large lots available that aren't in, as Apple said, a planned master plan community.
Right.
So Apple, I'm going to segue right into the next question for you, which is another numbers question. And I've heard people like our attention to detail. So tell us about the pro formas and how accurate they are, and also tell them what's your favorite line when you're on the phone.
So this slide, very busy, shows the 3 different models that we're selling, the model homes, 3 different sizes, 3 and 4 bedroom homes in 3 different cities. And these numbers are correct. We spent a lot of time doing the research on what would the property taxes be if a home was built on a lot in Cape Coral, if a home was built on a lot in Northport, and also in Port Charlotte. So the taxes are correct for a home, that size of a home, that price of a home that we show in the pro forma after the home is completed. The rents are correct as of today, and it's been proven over and over to us in our market research as well as in our experience. Our property manager has been actively renting homes for our clients since June of last year, and these rents reflect rents going up throughout the year, but these are correct rents for today. Rents have consistently gone up around the country, as you know, for the last 10 years. Importantly, the insurance, which we'll touch on later, why, but the insurance for these brand new homes ranges between $400 and $600 a year, which is incredibly low for insurance in Florida. A similar home that was built in 2005, the insurance would be $2,000 or $3,000. So to have insurance for a 3 or 4 bedroom home range between $400 and $600 is quite a savings. We'll talk about that. My favorite thing about our pro formas is that at the bottom of each of these, the cash and the financed pro forma, we have links. And we have a link to each individual property. So a lot of the properties that we sell don't have street addresses yet. It's Van Buren, lot number 5, etc. This link, we've mapped the coordinates for, and it'll take you right to where your particular lot is that you're looking at. Below it, we also have links to the floor plan, links to make an appointment with us, links to make a reservation. So these pro forma sheets are very interactive and make it convenient for you to do your research based on what we've done.
Yeah, you'll hear Apple telling you, scroll down with me.
Oh, so I've got a question for Carolyn.
Okay.
Speaking of scrolling, not really. Carolyn, most of our properties are on well and septic, and that seems to be the case in the area. What's that about?
Okay. Yeah, well and septic, extremely common in Florida. You can have a neighborhood with an $800,000 home that's on well and septic. One of the great things that our property manager has been able to arrange is that you can have a service plan for the well and septic that runs as low as $50 a month. that you can have your tenant pay. And people say, well, then that's an extra cost for them. But you have to think about this. If they don't have a well, then they are going to be on city water, and they're going to have a city water bill. So in a way, it's a wash, which is an interesting term because you're talking about well and
Laundry.
Yeah. Anyway,
Septic. What about septic,
septic.
Carolyn?
Our septic also very common. They use biomes, and one of the installers who we've talked to multiple times. So it certainly depends on usage and all of that. But he said, Carolyn, my system's 25 years old, and I've only pumped it twice, and I have 7 kids and 2 adults. And I said, okay, that tells me these things are pretty good to go.
And this was an expert.
This was the expert.
All right.
Yes, he's
All
on
right.
the state licensing board. So, all right, your turn. People ask, I've lost my place, Apple.
You were wondering why the contracts are kind of builder-centric. Yeah.
Yes.
We missed that question on our last seminar that we did for a group, so, that's a new question for her, but not a new answer for me. Why are the contracts that builders issue so builder-centric? This is just a fact. Any major builder that you would go to in the U.S. for new construction of a single-family home is going to have a custom contract that their attorneys drew up to protect them. And no builder is going to change their contract. So this is just a fact. The things that you will see that protect builders that you may not be used to if you're buying a resale home would be there is no appraisal contingency. So if when the home is built, it is worth and appraised, I should say it appraises for less than you paid for it, the builder is not going to reduce the price of that appraisal. You can ask for a new appraisal via your lender. Appraisals are the people that order those lenders are the people that order those appraisals for you. So you could ask for a new appraisal, but the builder is not going to reduce the price of the home. On the other hand, we have seen in Florida, and with new construction in particular, that what you pay for a home at the time of contract and what it's worth at the time of closing, which could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months away, could be very, very different in terms of appreciation. So in most cases, we see that your good faith deposit is actually earning you appreciation while the home is being built. And we literally have had homes close just this month. A $190,000 very simple home in Northport was appraised for $230,000 2 weeks ago. And that's common. Now, I don't know if that's going to continue, but we typically do not see new homes appraised for less than the purchase price. Another difference in a construction contract versus a resale contract is going to be inspections and repairs. Because it's a brand new home and it's warranted by the builder for either 1 month, 1 year, or 2 years, inspections and repairs are a moot point. You can do inspections and the builder will make repairs, and he would have anyway, and he will until the time of the warranty expiring. So we're going to suggest for inspection and repairs that you consider having an inspection after closing before your warranty expires. If your warranty is a 2-year warranty, you might want to have that inspection 1.5 years in and give the house a chance to settle in and for defects to reveal themselves. Get that list to the warranty department and those repairs will be done. So that's why contracts are builder-centric.
Okay.
So I've got a question for Carolyn. What's the basic process? What do we have to do to get a home?
It's very easy. Once you select a home, we initially require three things: a registration form with the location, which is sometimes the street and the lot number, the model of the home, and the upgrades, the name of the persons or the trust in which the house will be titled, and this can't be changed, so it's very important. And we also need copies of driver's licenses and a pre-approval letter or proof of funds. After that, once the attorney will send you wiring instructions, because that does not come from us and we are not involved in that. And once they receive the deposit and have proof of that, the attorney will then issue the contract for the buyer to sign first, and then the developer will sign it, and then you'll receive a copy of the executed contract. At that point, Sheena Berry, our Director of Operations, sends Keller Williams brokerage paperwork for signature, along with a next steps document that tells you everything that will happen during the contract to close process, such as what's going on with the build, because we'll be in touch with the builder, when you get your insurance, all of those things. So we've got you covered from soup to nuts.
Carolyn, I have another question for you.
Okay.
How does property management work? When I close on my property, how is that going to work?
Okay, the property management team we've been working with, as Apple mentioned, we started working with them in June, and they are leasing the houses very quickly. In a couple of instances, we've had backup tenant applications. Generally, we're often seeing 3-year leases, and we're seeing a mix of about 50-50 retirees and families, which is very interesting. We're seeing this in all of our markets, both Northport, Port Charlotte, and we haven't talked a lot about Rotunda Lakes, Apple's new favorite place, and Cape Coral. So people say, well, retirees, and what we're seeing is sometimes, they come down and they're like, well, I'm going to be in assisted living in 15 years, and I don't want to own a house and deal with the headache of maintaining a house when I've got a property manager who can contact, with the warranty, can contact the developer, or, we'll just handle everything. I just call them. Families, what we're seeing, especially with COVID, people working from home now, they want space for the kids to homeschool or go to school, and we've got good schools. Northport has great, all of our areas have great grades for schools, but they want that Florida lifestyle so the kids can be out in the fresh air. So we're really seeing a mix, and we're seeing the same thing in all areas. So as I mentioned earlier, Northport, you've got access to 75, Sarasota, Venice, St. Pete and Tampa. When you go down to Cape Coral, you've got access to Big Pine Island, which has beautiful beaches, and Fort Myers. So these areas all have access to major cities, major airports, as I mentioned earlier, the big four. So yes, everything is renting. There's another study, and we'll talk about my Fast Facts document, but that talks about the runway and the growth for the rental market in Florida, which is very big, but especially in these areas.
So ask me this question.
Apple, tell us about the house features.
All right, let me see if I can find the slide and go back. Oh, there it is. Good. All right. So we pride ourselves on being transparent, on presenting as many facts as we can so that you have all the information to make a well-informed decision. And this is an example of the house features that our builder is providing in the homes. These single-family homes are turnkey. They are ready for tenants to move in. They include all of the appliances that a tenant would expect in Florida. Stainless steel kitchen appliances, including the refrigerator. They include granite countertops in the bathrooms and the kitchen. Solid surfaced floors that resist wear and tear. Vaulted ceilings. Blinds on all the windows. A mailbox. A water treatment system if you're on well and septic. So these are the details that we want to provide to you so that you can make a decision if you're comparing our product, our properties against other properties. Ask for a feature sheet, because I've been sent information from clients over the past couple of weeks with some of our competitors in Cape Coral, and there are no feature sheets. So you're not really comparing similar things if you don't know what the details are in the house. So, Carolyn, Fast Facts. What is that?
Fast Facts. So I've listened to a number of David's talks, and I love them. His philosophy and his approach, when you boil them down, are actually simple but brilliant. And I've listened to Apple on many calls. And you know, some people hear things and process listening, and some people process things by reading. So I've written for the readers. I created Fast Facts, and it has links to many topics. As I said, David's investment philosophy, the overview of Florida growth in the rental market, Fed and long-term interest rates, West Coast, that infrastructure that I talked about, and the cultural development. We've got incredible museums, everything down here. It's amazing. As I mentioned, we're surrounded by 3 of the leading master plan communities. I talk about our developers. I talk about our construction features. That sheet that Apple showed you is actually out of our Fast Facts document. Lender, warranty, survey, insurance, closing process, property management. A lot of what we talked about today is in this document. You can just click on the hyperlink and it'll take you to that part of the document. So people, when they're on the phone, sometimes in the beginning, I could tell they were trying to take notes and listen and ask questions. And we said, let's just put everything in writing so you've got a reference point.
Right.
So
right.
that, I think, is our last regular question. So Apple,
Yeah.
if I wanted to buy, what do I do?
All right. Well, it's simple. You can click a link at the bottom of any of our emails that you've been receiving or this one and make an appointment with either Carolyn or myself. You can ask us the same questions or you can ask us new questions and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions. And if you're wondering how you get this wonderful material that we've been showing you, you will be provided this material once you have an appointment with us and we can go over this together on the phone. You will have received it prior to our phone conversation. So we want to make sure that we provide you with as much information as possible. And we look forward to getting appointments from you.
Talking to you on the phone, getting to know you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you
thanks
so much.